Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast Five by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
On weekdays, Sean, it's all about the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, though, we're still going to keep it to 5 minutes, but we're going to pick out the biggest story of the week, our favourite story, the sleeper story, which is the one that's maybe not getting the attention that it deserves, and the most remarkable story. So let's get into it. Sean, I reckon the biggest story of the week was the explosion in COVID case numbers, particularly in New South Wales. Just to give you an idea of just how quickly the situation has changed. Last weekend, there was a run of days around the 500 case mark in New South Wales per day. By the end of the week, New South Wales recorded more than 2,200 cases in just 24 hours. Pretty extraordinary rise. It came as the state relaxed restrictions, with QR codes no longer mandatory at most venues and most mask rules scrapped. Unvaccinated people also gained the same freedoms as the vaccinated. Victoria has also seen a rapid climb in cases. There's a few factors here. Obviously, the Omicron variant is considered highly transmissible, but it's also party season, so we're seeing some big super spreader events at venues like nightclubs. It's the biggest story to me because it's a sign of things to come. Governments around the country are really trying to avoid lockdowns, but with more restrictions lifting, it can only mean an increase in cases. In New South Wales, the modelling suggested that the state could even hit 25,000 cases a day by the end of January. How our hospitals cope, how businesses cope with isolation requirements, how it all impacts Christmas. Put it all together, for me, it's the biggest story of the week.
Can't argue with that. Definitely the biggest story. Special mention to the economy. 366,000 new jobs in November. Pushed the unemployment rate down to 4.6%. Government released its budget outlook. Not really making as many inroads into the deficit as you might like. Also, central banks around the world have started lifting or saying they're going to lift interest rates. The Reserve Bank locally says conditions for a rate rise are unlikely to change before 2023. That's the earliest that they think they'll lift interest rates. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, all right. What's the most remarkable story this week, do you reckon?
Oh, I think all the deals still going on. You know, the final full week of the year, and we've had about $19 billion in announced deals. CSL bid $16.4 billion for Swiss-based Vifa Pharma. Nickel and copper miner IGO will purchase nickel producer Western Metals for about $1.1 billion. A private equity group, BGH Capital, bid for a fertility service provider. Corporate travel management beefed up its operations. There was a wealth management firm, Crestone Wealth Management. It said it will be sold for $475 million to a global private banking group backed by the royal family of Liechtenstein. And Afterpay shareholders voted for its acquisition by Block. That's the massive $39 billion deal. $19 billion in the final week of the year. That, to me, is quite remarkable.
Yeah, a week before Christmas, that amount of deals happening, that is a remarkable story. Can I give you the sleeper story of the week? What I think is the story that should be getting more attention.
Sure.
The sheer number of companies being hit by ransomware attacks in Australia.
Yeah, incredible.
35% of companies have apparently suffered a ransomware attack. 83% of those have actually gone on to pay the ransom. And they're not small sums either. On average, businesses are paying a touch over $1 million to have their stolen data returned or deleted or their computer systems unlocked. It's a major problem, and it's one that businesses aren't really talking about enough. Part of that is because there's a stigma about being hit by ransomware, and even more so about paying up to have your data released. But the stats that we've been talking about this week suggest that it's a sleeper story that'll end up affecting almost every business in the country.
Totally agree with you on that one, Michael. Incredible story.
All right, give us your favourite story to finish off the week.
Well, I love the fact that Jetstar launched a campaign to sell more than 500,000 seats starting from just $29. There are fares or low fares on all 60 of the carrier's domestic routes for under $100 and also big deals on international flights. In fact, there are flights to Thailand, Fiji, Japan and Hawaii for under $200. Plenty of conditions. You're restricted when you can fly, but it puts more competition into the market. Its competitors will respond, no doubt about it. Flying is becoming cheaper and more accessible. That's my favourite story of the week.
That is a good one, but how about this one? The favourite story for me was the appointment of Caroline Kennedy to be the US ambassador to Australia. It means a bit of US political royalty will be coming to Australia, a direct link to one of the most famous families in the world, but also one of the most shocking events in US history. Caroline is, of course, the only surviving child of former US President John F. Kennedy and First Lady Jackie Kennedy Onassis. She was only 5 when her father was assassinated, so really her life has very much been lived in the shadow of what happened. She's had an incredible career, though, and most recently she was the US ambassador to Japan during the Obama administration. So not only has experience in diplomacy, but also knows the region. So there's a lot of talk about the significance of her taking up the role. She's going to be one of the few ambassadors to have a direct line to President Joe Biden, which is fairly critical given the tensions with China and the role of Australia in the region. I just love the story because of the Kennedy name. It's an incredible legacy, and we'll get to see Caroline Kennedy up close in Canberra.
Yep, something to look forward to.
Alrighty, there we go. 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed.